coming along.
All right. So our next presenter, Marie Hart with United Commercial Upholstery. So it's all for you, Marie.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
We can. Good morning, Marie.
Good. Thank you guys for inviting us to be a part of this today. We really do enjoy talking about the pivot that we recently made and sharing our experience with all of you on that. Would you like me to just start right in with our PowerPoint?
Go for it.
Let's see. Okay, I just want to share with you a little bit about this is our marketing video that we have that we share with our customers, but we're located in New Ulm. Our growth and success has been built on creating high quality seating and production services that are delivered on time and at a fair price. We are here to solve customers' tough problems and create true partners, and that is how we have built our company to be the size that we are. The services that we provide during what we would call normal production anyways, would be prototyping and design, contract cutting for fabrics, woods, other substrates. We have a full service cut and sew department. We do upholstery and assembly. We have a full service art department that includes digital printing and embroidery. Some of the products that we create, you're seeing our proprietary line of custom golf cart seating. We were among the first in the industry to provide the golf cart industry with fully customizable full replacement seats, and we are one of the leaders in the market nationwide. We have about 700 dealers in the United States that sell our seats. Another line of ours is locker room cushions. We work with different millworks to provide them with cushions for all these really fancy, nice locker rooms. We've sold to professional teams, colleges, and a lot of high schools. We also provide OEM services to other manufacturers, some of them being local. That is one of the things that we enjoy. We do a lot of prototyping here, and we're able to take that product and get it into production for another company or a manufacturer. And a lot of our business revolves around marine. We supply over 12 major boat builders with marine furniture. As you can see, that is a lot of our business right there. And then COVID became real. The production that we were doing of the items that you just saw kind of came to a screeching halt in March. As you can see our timeline here, March 13th, as you all probably remember clearly, Governor Walz announced the ordering of closures, bars, restaurants. And at that point, I think there's already starting to be a lot of buzz about businesses closing. By Thursday of that week, our leadership team met in the morning and discussed necessary actions to keep us sustainable during this time. We really didn't know what to expect. We were kind of throwing darts at this point. Later that day, we started seeing a lot of pretty desperate pleas on social media, particularly out east in the New York area. This was our first realization that our healthcare workers were in jeopardy, not just out east, but we knew that trend would also arrive in the Midwest. Friday, March 20th was a pretty big day here. 9:30 in the morning, we faced something we'd never had to do before. We laid off employees for the first time in company history, and that was a sickening feeling for us. We've been growing. In the last 4 years, we had about 32 employees, and we were up to about 60 this year. We had seen some pretty significant growth, and we were always in the hiring phase, not the laying off phase. So that was a tough morning. By 11 o'clock, we were following up on some of the social media, and I had the first discussion with our owners, Phil and Chris, about the shortage of PPE and what we could possibly do to help. Chris knew from years of experience that it would be hard to secure material for masks, the disposable ones that were coming out of China, and also the disposable isolation gowns that were coming out of China. So we made a real quick decision that morning to start offering reusable isolation gowns. By 1 p.m., we had an ad on social media letting people know that we are a cut and sew manufacturer, and we had the capability to produce isolation gowns or other PPE. And at that point, we were asking for people to contact us, so we should find out where to start, who we should get in touch with. By 4:30 that afternoon, we received the email below from a physician assistant out in New York. She was stating that they were already running low on supplies and asking us how we could help. We also had an email from a nurse over at Cedars-Sinai in New York. She was also in a state of panic because at that point, they were already starting to use garbage bags for PPE. In less than 24 hours, our 2 social media posts blew up. And for some companies, this might seem like a norm, but for us, this was a lot of action on social media. We had a lot of people messaging us, some that actually were offering to help with their equipment, some that were helping to, or asking if they could help us secure material, and a lot of people just asking us to help them in general. Excuse me. This whole thing happened really fast. In the next 72 hours, which was a Saturday morning, Bill and Chris and I met over breakfast to discuss what we needed to do and how to proceed. Messages were coming in pretty fast. Our thoughts at that time were somewhere in between what we needed to do and fear for those that were on the front lines facing these things. By afternoon, we were able to secure a disposable isolation gown from a nearby hospital, and we were getting pounded by messages. Excuse me. We knew that we had to act quickly. Sunday, Chris went into the shop and a prototype was made, and she had a pattern and it was already set to be cut on the CNC. We were able to find material that we had in stock that would also work. Not ideal material, but material that would work. Monday morning, we called everyone together for a quick production meeting and explained what we were about to do. And I think some of our employees thought we were a little nuts. Our first isolation gowns were in production shortly after that, despite not having any actual orders. By Monday morning, by mid-morning, I should say, we began emailing hospitals, nursing homes, and other nursing facilities in Minnesota, neighboring states, and some out east as well. By 2 o'clock that day, we had our first order and became an essential business, which was key. We didn't have to close. The next couple of months and times kind of really seemed to stand still through all this. The following 6 weeks, we sold about 60,000 isolation gowns. We also provided patterns and set up some other companies that had idle machines so that we could outsource orders of another 100,000 gowns that were coming in to keep up with the rapidly increasing demand. During the first full week of production, we brought back most all of the employees that we had to lay off. And we also had to break into an afternoon and weekend shift for the first time ever. We worked strictly days. Our production, we had changed our production floor around to make things a lot more efficient, and we had all employees working on PPE at that time. We were fully ramped up and producing about 2,800 gowns per day. And we also had added face shields during that time. And while we were waiting for gowns for the materials to come in, we were producing face shields, and we got up to producing 18,000 face shields per day. Right now, we're currently working to finish up back orders, and we're still receiving some orders for gowns. We've decided to continue producing the PPE until the orders stop coming in, or, you know, there's no longer a need. We are going to try and keep some stock in them when we get everything caught up, just in the event that there is a second wave. We also would be open to producing PPE of some form for companies' specs, per their specs, if the volume would be high enough. We also had talked with a uniform supply company along the way that reached out to us about providing them gowns in the future. Right now, things are getting back to normal. We were surprised to find out how resilient the recreation market has been. We started to see our customers, both golf cart and marine, across the United States, opening back up, and it appears that their businesses are strong and consumers are spending. Some of the cool things that happened along the way, we did a story with Carol Lemon, we also did one with KUIC, but outside of that, we'd received a message on our Facebook from a mother. Her 9-year-old son started a GoFundMe to raise money for his birthday in lieu of gifts, receiving gifts, so that he could donate lunches to essential workers in New Ulm. I don't know if you saw that story on KUIC, but Charlie did an amazing job. He, I think, was able to provide lunch to 5 different companies that day. We also donated to local law enforcement so we could get them PPE right away, and we knew that they would be safe. What came out of that was our local sheriff actually emailed a lot of law enforcement agencies in Minnesota, and we immediately started seeing orders from them. So it was nice. It was a nice feeling to be able to provide law enforcement and emergency management with PPE as well. Some of the lessons that we learned. Be sure to have a great team at all times. UCU started doing EOS about 2 years ago, and we worked hard at developing a strong leadership team and accountability chart. The ability to think and act quickly through this pandemic really helped propel us. We were able to steer our company through the unknown, and more importantly, hang on to our valued employees at the end of the day. Having the right people in the right seats on that accountability chart proved to be a necessity in making the pivot successful. When COVID became a real threat, everybody knew their responsibility and acted accordingly. And although it was chaotic at times, this pivot would have been nearly impossible to maneuver without that solid accountability chart. Jumping into a new market so quickly was scary. We were asked questions that we didn't have answers to. We had done very little research about the products we were producing. It wasn't in our wheelhouse at all. Being honest with the customers about that was extremely important. When we first started, we found that our customers, the people that were looking to us to produce this, were providing us with the information that we needed to go forward. And lastly, I just want to say the use of social media is very powerful. We spent $0 on marketing or advertising, and we were able to get in touch with some really helpful people just by using social media. Man, that is all I have on that.
All right, so community, it is our turn to guide and help and ask questions. So who is the first person? Oh, it looks like Phil. Did you have a question, Phil?
No, Phil.
Phil doesn't have a microphone. He's actually our owner, and he's just throwing that out there for everyone.
No, Phil actually answered. This is Gary Schott. Phil actually, who is one of the owners, answered my question that I put in chat. So read the response there. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Phil.
Tammy, you are next.
Hey, Marie.
Tammy.
Hi. say, I just wanted to bring up, if you could share a little bit about the original story of how Chris started the company, because I think that is such an inspiration as well for all entrepreneurs, of how this all started with UCU, and just, it just shows the whole, just the, the whole get up and go and don't hesitate and make it happen movement of an entrepreneur.
Well, Chris actually had learned some upholstery years ago, and when she met Phil and moved to New Ulm, Chris started her own upholstery business. At that point, things were a little bit slow. She went over to Palm Beach. She worked over at Palm Beach and found that she had a real knack for designing furniture that would be quite easily produced. So from Palm Beach, Chris went back out on her own, started in her garage, moved to a storage building in Goosetown. And from there, she went over to Nicollet, and we moved into the building here in New Ulm about 7 years ago. It's the old PGI mailer building. Since that time, we've grown rapidly. We had a lot of issues growing too fast, a lot of organizational management issues, stuff like that. We worked really hard to get those corrected, but yeah, you grow fast and you make mistakes along the way.
And Laura, you are up.
Hello, everyone. I was curious, do you sell through distributors, or do you welcome walk-in customers, or what is your marketing strategy as far as who you sell to?
Laura was pretty soft, but
Yeah, I couldn't hear.
she was asking, who do you sell to? Do you sell to walk-in customers? Do you sell through distributors? Laura, your sound was so soft that you almost couldn't hear it.
For our normal production or for PPE, are you? We generally speaking don't have any walk-ins for purchasing. For marine golf cart, that's stuff that we're for the marine industry anyways. We're manufacturing that for somebody else. That's their product. Golf car seating, we sell only through a network of dealers. So we don't have any sales going in and out of this building. That changed a little bit with the PPE. At that point, we were selling to anybody that needed it. In fact, I had even a janitor at a hospital up in the North Metro that got in touch with me because their hospital decided not to provide them with any PPE. So they went out on their own and they got in touch with us and we sold to them. We sold to a woman out in Wisconsin that had nieces and nephews working in the medical field, and she was worried about them, so she bought PPE for them, for each of her nieces and nephews as well. There's some real interesting stories that went with it.
Great. It's so nice to hear about your company. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for maybe one last question before we get into our final question. Does anybody have any? Oh, Gary, you're up.
I'm sorry I didn't lower my hand. That I had raised the earlier question that Phil answered in the chat box, so I got that. So I'll ask the final question. Maria, is there anything that we as a community can help UCU, your company?
Yeah, actually, we fly under the radar a lot, and people don't know who we are. We do a lot for advertising local because we're not selling retail, but we want people to know that, know and pass on that we work with entrepreneurs and we can help design, produce, sewn, upholstered, digitally printed products. We've discussed expanding our market to include medical. So if you know of anybody that is a startup or anyone that's looking to switch suppliers and, sewn or soft goods, anything like that, have them get in touch with us. We can work with you from, prototyping on up to production. So we'd love to talk to people. We'd love to solve problems. We'd love to hear from people.
Awesome. Thank you, Marie. What a wonderful presentation. And thank you for pivoting so well in our new community, I guess, as you could call it, our new world. And so the last slide, next week we will be back. And wow, I should really learn how to say these names. Okay, it is. I wasn't 100% sure. Thank you, Gary. I'm like, am I looking at one of my children's books or what? Platypus Labs will be with us next week. And we also have a community discussion. So those are so fun. If this was your first time, please make sure you spread the word. We really, really, really want to help our entrepreneurs in our communities, not just in Mankato, but obviously New Ulm, Waseca, all around. So thank you everyone for coming out today. Make sure that if you can go check out these guys' websites, like them on Facebook, whatever love that we can share, definitely get that out there. I know Julie Frederickson is really, really good at posting things on social media. So I will probably just share all of the stuff that she's going to share and tag a team off of that. And Yvonne, do you have one more thing?
This little tumbler is going to get mailed out to Marie at UCU and to Harold and Jamie at Kala. I'm going to send you our 1 tumbler. So congratulations. Great job, everybody, today.
Round of applause.